How's the foot doing?
Everything's fine now.
Yeah.
I hurt it in a strange freak accident. I misstepped on a ramp, and my toe went underneath my foot. And when that happens, when your big toe gets underneath your foot, all trouble breaks loose. But everything's cool now. From the bottom of my heart, I'm so disappointed that I wasn't able to play LA. And
so were we, those of us who live in LA, who were waiting for you.
Yeah,
and,
hopefully I'll be able to reschedule and
get
that one down. But if not, you know, these are the things of life.
Yeah, they are.
Now, one thing that I've noticed with double detached types, whether they're introvert or extrovert, I myself am double detached, meaning I either lead with thinking or intuition, no matter the attitude. But when it's internal, introverted, meaning cognitive introvert, doesn't mean not talking, a person who doesn't speak. It means how are you processing the information. Where Prince, what you're noticing here is his ability to go within, to reflect and understand what he's saying and how he's saying it matters to people around him, because he's very much aware that depending on how I recite this language, how the person takes it or gravitate to what I'm saying, it is important for him. So he is changing his thoughts and trying to make meaning out of it internally. But it's coming from a headspace to where it's double detached. It's intuition because he's thinking ahead in that way. The pausing, the trying to find how to phrase it. You can see the ideation happening while being pitched or expressed through FE. Ideation is intuition and thinking together. But when it's internal, it doesn't utilize facts and sources. It does it on its own. That's TI. But the future-oriented portion of it makes him think about how he's reciting the message. As a detached, constrained narrator, that meaning is most important to him. It's not highly reductionistic. He's not actually breaking things down into principles immediately, although he does utilize principles. Like what he said at the end of this clip was, if I'm unable to make up for what I've missed, right, then that is life. That's a principle, but it's a principle that's tied to meaning, right? He's talking about a life principle. It's not a principle in relation to a framework that is the other detached type, which is TI. And those principles that he utilizes, you will hear every now and again, but you can almost hear the position in which the TI is working in service of, which is NI, the dominant pillar function. You can see the FE and how he closes his hands together. He's thinking about it as he's saying it. He's ideating upon it, and then the dreaming comes in, the connection to expression FE, through how he's narrating what he is saying. You can tell he's thinking ahead. There's a lot going on up in his head, but it's also very vague, because if it was SI, that attachment or that information that will be coming out will be a lot more clear, more detailed. That's not Prince. He has no problem jumping to conclusions, because that's what NI actually does. It's like going down a particular road fast to the point to where you miss every single detail that's in front of you. SI is a lot more slower because it picks up on more details when they narrate, and not just SI, but sensation in and of itself. But SI is the most detailed because those details are meaning to them. It's not the same with NI dominant types like Prince.
I didn't get in to make a whole bunch of money or anything like that and meet a whole bunch of women. Just so happens those are the things that came along with it. But I was always playing a lot, and It's what it's all about, jumping off pianos.
It's all about jumping off pianos and hurting your foot when you jump.
No, well, the jumping off the pianos is the easy part. If somebody puts a monitor someplace they ain't supposed to be, then...
That's the bad part.
Then we're in trouble, yeah.
So this is a short clip, but there's a lot going on here. You can see him go back into reflection, to ideation, right? You know, it's not personal because he's finding ways to phrase it. He's utilizing TI to see what makes sense according to it being most meaningful. But yet there is some impact involved in there as well, because depending on how he say it or how he phrase it on the back end will impact the audience or the person who he's talking to more consistent versus not. So you can see all of your functions and how it's being used, and even the attitudes per function, what it means to be subject or object in its orientation, right? Yet still people don't really understand that. So that's what we're doing now. We're trying to understand what that actually means. Notice how when he couldn't find the right way to say it, he didn't just jump out and say what was on his mind. Instead, he changed it. He threw in a joke at the very end there to get the other person laughing, right? But he lost meaning right there. He lost it. It's just that fragile, but he didn't jeopardize the message. Instead, he gave a joke. So you can see he's playing with TI and FE in a balanced way, because throwing in that joke to bring the focus off of him not being able to articulate what he means is the balance of judgment and not the balance of perception. Is very different.
I'm wondering, when you're on tour, whether or not you still enjoy playing your old stuff. I've read stuff that said you like your old stuff and you enjoyed other stuff that says you're burnt out on playing that, you're tired of playing certain songs. What's the story on what you like to play in concert?
If there were any statements made by me about not enjoying playing old music, it was probably when I was still tied to the contract with Time Warner. Once I got out of the contract, I started to reevaluate my trip, and I realized that, you know, these are like my children.
Now, calling his music his children carries a different essence to what it means for him, but at the same time, NI is very much a part of the equation here, and also ideation. The way Prince sees music is his creation. It's a part of how he put things together, how he forms ideas. All his generation of ideas is packed into his music and how he writes it, so on and so forth. So there's something to pick up on when it comes down to NI. It's very tricky to catch, but you can catch it if you know what to look for.
And in this upcoming year, 1999, we're going to make a valiant effort to regain ownership of the master recordings. They are a representation of me, and they will be all that will be left upon my departing of this experience.
To respond to something that one of your critics, a number of your critics have said, it's been said repeatedly that you, comparatively speaking, compared to other artists on Time Warner, at Warner Brothers, were treated quite wonderfully. That you didn't have everything you wanted, but that you, in fact, were given carte blanche at that company. And that part of what really happened was that you got spoiled by the people at Warner Brothers. And when you asked for more and more and more, they had a difficult time trying to reel the artist, Prince at the time, trying to reel you in, because they'd given you so much leeway, so much flexibility, and you just started to act like a little kid, started ranting and raving.
Okay, so I'm stopping here to show or reveal the deflective fix. His oppositional, SE, leading oppositional anchor, and also paired with TE. So his building, right? Because sensation and thinking together is a building state. But when it's deflective, right? So this is how the NI down fights back. They utilize their SE. The poutiness, the going back at them. Now, He's going to add his meaning to why he did that, but nonetheless, it's still an action-oriented, positioning himself to win by fighting back to protect the narrative.
And throwing a tantrum. And the real problem was that they just could not reel you in because they had been so flexible with you all along.
Well, listen, I'm not one to look at myself through other people's eyes. That's their perception of me.
But did you buy that perception?
Absolutely not. What had happened really was that the music business runs like this. You'll have a manager, you'll have an attorney, you'll have various record company people. Everybody's taking a cut of everything that you do. It got down to the wire there, and some people who were not in the studio at the time wanted a cut of When Doves Cry because, I'm sorry, they wanted a cut of the song Pray by Hammer because it contained a sample, When Doves Cry. All right? So when you're in the fold, when you're in the club and everybody's getting a piece of everything, your tour, your publishing, any endorsements, when they're getting a piece of all of that, you will have hit records. The moment you step away from that and you want to, in fact, take control of your own life, your own experience, then you'll find you're not hot anymore. When like I said, when I reevaluated the trip, I found that I had to challenge them with love. And in fact, I wrote a letter to one of the presidents there that I in fact loved him, and I thanked him for signing me in the first place, and that we had in fact each chosen to be in the position that we were in.
Now, I've been saying for a very long time that all of your functions are being used at the same time, meaning thinking, feeling, intuition, and sensation are your functions, but two attitudes separate them from one another, yet they're linked to an axis, which is young, right? No such thing as TI without FE. No such thing as TE without FI. These are the axes. So this huge debate on whether there's 4 or 8 function models is tapping into the details. So you hear those people who claim to be intuitives, right, from the dominant perspectives, any dominance, wink wink, will say that 4 or 8 function models, those guys are not expansive types. They're not seeker destroyers. They're very much probably ideational builders like I am, focused on consistency and focused on details within consistency and focused on ideating upon what those things mean or what those things are. And creational building is happening when you talk like that. That is not an any dominant type. I think a clear example of an any dominant type is Eric. I do think Eric is an any dominant type, to be honest. But other than that, we got to talk about it. Thanks, guys, for listening. Let me know in the comments what you think. Also add any people who you would like us to type, and we will try our best to get to that request. Later.